In Dominica, there is an extraordinary doctor. And all of our dogs join a call. Hey, this is Sai, and you're watching SAT TV. Big up SAT, big up SAT, big up SAT.
Yo, gang to the Zilla, you're watching SAT Telecom, the people them try, see that, Rasta.
Good evening, I am Deslin Joseph and I am your presenter for today. Thank you for joining us for SAT TV News. Among the major developments, man finding contaminated codfish scandal, opposition victorious in Nevis, on the international scene, North Korea plans third nuclear test, and in sports, son of West Indies batsman Shivnarine Chandapur to make first-class debut. Details of these and other stories after the break.
It's only when we unite as one, then a lot more thing can be done. Stop this useless fight down, killing out your own brother man. Time we rise and all realize we have an enemy in disguise, standing right in the mix of you. Got to know who is who. This is Derek Peters and you're watching SAT TV. That's what I have, SAT TV. SAT TV, that's the way to go. Rah! To the world. Ooh diddy, ooh diddy, ooh diddy.
Thank you for staying with us. Now for the details of the news. Wednesday, January 23rd was a historic day for the Dominica State College as they hosted the first annual lecture series. The event was held at the Fort Young Hotel. In Search of Heroes, defining heroism in a quest to identify and highlight Dominican heroes was the topic. President of the DSC, Dr. Donald C. Peters, stated that this lecture series is important as universities feel it is their responsibility to engage the community in discussions. He said during this time more than ever, universities need to partner with communities to share ideas and thoughts, as the way to get things done is to talk about them.
And I must say that when I brought the idea to the college, or when we discussed it, the English department took the initiative to establish the lecture series. In most universities, lecture series have a sponsor, so in the future we will hope that some benefactor will sponsor the series and it will bear its name. Currently, the series bears the name of the Office of the President, so it's called the President's Lecture Series. But the English department is the one responsible for developing the program, and I want to thank them for doing so. And they went one step further. They not only put the program together, but they picked one of their own to be the first ever lecture series speaker at the Dominica State College Lecture Series, Professor Russ Boyle.
During his lecture, Professor Boyd highlighted the hero who was told fire from the gods to give to human beings. With this, he said, when we define a hero, we look for Promethean courage, selfishness, persistence, and action for the good of others.
You have to recognize that if you are doing something out of the sake of duty, that by itself is necessary but not sufficient to make you a hero. To be a hero, you must go beyond the bounds of duty. Your deontological obligation by itself does not make you a hero. You have to go beyond this and enter the realm of magnanimity to be a hero. You have to go beyond duty to be a hero. Just your duty does not make you a hero. So if you believe that just long service and doing your duty makes you a hero, that is a misunderstanding of the term hero.
Professor Boyd pointed out that, although any ordinary human can be elevated to the status of a hero, this has to be carefully evaluated based on what is defined as a hero. He mentioned just like heroes do great things, anti-heroes do great things also, so we have to differentiate the two so we do not pass up anti-heroes as heroes. To further explain this point, he used Adolf Hitler, who he stated was an anti-hero, but to some he is seen as a hero.
But the thing is, heroes should always have a mission. When you ask what was the mission of the club, you can see it was one of malice, one of mischief, and that doesn't qualify him to be a hero, although he did grand things. So in your society, you have to be careful and not mistake an anti-hero with a hero. Another controversial thing about hero is that you have to check the perspective. Like when we listen to CNN, we read the papers, we read magazines, we see the terrorists. Terrorists is a matter of perspective. We call them terrorists, but remember the terrorist is somebody's hero. So that is why perspective is very important in establishing who a hero is.
The main aspect to establishing a hero, he said, is to find the purpose of one's mission. The purpose of a hero's mission must be uplifting for the good of society and for the greater good of the world. Someone who is worthy of being called a hero must follow a few ethical principles such as categorical imperative that it must be atypical for others to follow. He said a hero must display a personal autonomic principle which tells us we are free to make choices to define ourselves.
The hero will uphold the personal autonomy principle, and one of the main edicts of the personal autonomy principle is that while expressing your freedom and expressing your own autonomy, you must not encroach or infringe the autonomy of others. That's a very important edict in understanding the personal autonomy. It doesn't give you the freedom to do what you want to do. So a hero is always careful of this, because the hero always operates from a sense of justice.
Professor Boyd pointed out that school teachers have the opportunity to be a hero, but not just being a teacher will qualify them. He said during a shooting incident at a school in the United States, some teachers use their bodies as shields to protect their students from gunfire, which is truly a heroic act. He stated Nelson Mandela is regarded as a hero as he directed society because of his efforts and Promethean courage. The professor stated with the greatest conviction of his heart, he regards Christopher Loeblack as a hero as he displayed all attributes of a hero to fight for the rights of the Dominica worker. Other heroes he mentioned were Oliver Libla, Fred Barron, Roosevelt Douglas, Pierre Charles, Bernard Wilshire, and Roosevelt Skerritt, among others. And in other news, with reference to the reported incident at sea which occurred on January 20th, 2013, where 4 Haitian nationals were rescued along with 2 local nationals, the police have arrested the 2 Dominican nationals, namely Roosevelt Lawrence and Andy Daniel, both of Cottage Village, for human trafficking and the unlawful killing of Marie-Claude Flouriet. Marie-Claude was a Haitian national whose body was found floating about 3 p.m. on January 20th, 2013 during a Coast Guard and helicopter search. The men are expected to appear before magistrate today, January 24th, 2013. In more news, the Ministry of Health, in partnership with the Dental Health Services, hosted a workshop to review the Dental Services Procedures Manual on Thursday, January 24th. This review comes 21 years after it was first introduced in 1992, which formed part of the staff support component of the primary dental care program. According to the policy of the WHO Global Oral Health Program, oral health is integral and essential to general health, and that the oral health is an element factor of quality of life. Chief Dental Officer Dr. Idalyn John explained that PAHO contributed to the financial resources to ensure the success of the project.
The objectives of the workshop are to review the existing Dental Services Procedures Manual to adhere to current standards as recommended by the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, and WHO, World Health Organization, to establish linkages between oral health services and primary health care at a national level, to establish linkages between oral health services department and the Ministry of Education.
The review of the manual will promote the delivery and quality of clinical and preventive services in a pleasant and efficient manner to those eligible for care at the Ministry of Health's dental clinics. It will act as a guide of procedures to follow policies set by the Ministry of Health and the Dental Health Services. Representative of PAO, Mrs. Shirley Augustine, says the state of one's oral health can cause chronic disease just like diabetes and high blood pressure.
The rapidly changing disease patterns throughout the world are closely linked to lifestyle changes, which include diets rich in sugars, widespread use of tobacco, and increased consumption of alcohol. In addition to socio-environmental determinants, oral disease is highly related to these lifestyle factors, which are risks to most chronic diseases, as well as protective factors such as appropriate exposure to fluoride and good oral hygiene.
Traditional treatment of oral diseases is extremely costly in several developed countries and not viable in most low-income countries. The World Health Organization Global Strategy for Prevention of Non-Communicable Diseases is a new strategy for managing prevention and control of oral diseases. Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Mrs. Helen Royer, says this is a milestone development for the ministry. She emphasizes that the profile of oral diseases have changed over the years and globally standards are set and demands are made to ensure standardization in the standard of care.
A policy procedure manual is the roadmap that describes how the dental clinic functions on a daily basis, what will happen. The manual will provide instructions for all the organization's function, including organizational structure, mission, vision, and values, scope of services, position descriptions, appointment and working procedures, informed consent procedures, infection control procedures, including exposure to control of pain, clinical safety protocols, patient records and privacy.
Throughout the day, they will give an overview of the manual, after which groups will be formed to review the manual. It is hoped that the review will lead to more advances in the oral health industry. In more news, on Thursday, January 24th, a handover ceremony was held as the Parliament of Dominica received office supplies from the National People's Congress of China. This activity was held under the theme Our Public Service Transforming, Modernizing, Positively Changing. The Parliament received 30 sets of desktop computers, 6 sets of laptop computers, 6 sets of B&W laser printers, 30 sets of computer desks, and 30 sets of office chairs. Speaker of the House, Ms. Alex Boyd Knight, commended the National People's Congress of China for the continuous help and support. Chinese Ambassador Mr. Wang Zonglei says that ministers from China have stated that their visits to Dominica were successful and they are looking forward to another one soon. Mr. Zonglei believes these office supplies will be very beneficial for Dominica's parliament and added that these lists of gifts is a token of their appreciation.
As Madam Speaker has said, it takes a long journey to transport the office of supplies because it will come from the ocean and sea. So it's a long journey. So it takes several months. Anyway, we can see they are all already here. Taking this opportunity, I'm very happy to see that your great holidays, Dominican Carnival holidays.
The Chinese ambassador says Dominica deserves the best and he's looking forward to our carnival since he's very excited about our holidays and upcoming events.
The Chinese biggest holiday, the Spring Festival, will begin coincidentally from 10th next month. So the two big holidays join hands. It's a token of the friendship of the two countries and two people. I will be very happy to spend our Spring Festival and your Carnival holidays. Taking this opportunity, please allow me to say happy holidays to all people of Dominica.
Honorable Ambrose George added that they were pleased with the discussions they have had with the National Peoples of China Congress. He says words cannot express the gratitude which he feels, and on behalf of the government of Dominica, he is grateful for the donation.
I would like to express our sincere thanks and gratitude to His Excellency, to convey our thanks to the committee of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress of the People's Republic of China, and that we are really very grateful for the gift, and to let them know certainly that we did enjoy the visit here in Dominica also, and that we will be putting the office equipment to very useful use in terms of utilization of the equipment in helping us to carry out our programs of activities at the Parliament and outside of the Parliament. And we are so grateful, and we want to say to you that it's again because of the excellent relationship that exists between our two countries and our peoples that we were able to continue to receive such assistance from the people and the government of the People's Republic of China.
Portsmouth residents, youth and athletes can now look forward to night games and overnight activities as the government of Dominica has donated $179,000 towards the lighting of Benjamin's Park on Thursday, January 25th. The mayor of Portsmouth says this simple donation will benefit many in various ways. He added that this gives the footballers and athletes a chance to experience night games and activities without having to worry about the sunset. Mr. Ian Douglas, parliamentary representative for Portsmouth constituency, says this project is long overdue. He also sent his regards out to President Hugo Chavez. He says Mr. Chavez and the Prime Minister's friendship benefited Dominica in many ways, which allowed us to have donations such as this.
We have to go back and look at the foreign relations that the Prime Minister has established, and in his foreign relations thrust, one of our greatest friends are the government of Venezuela, and we should really spare a moment or two to think of President Chavez and to pray for his recovery, because it is President Chavez and Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit who were able to forge this great alliance, and Dominica has benefited tremendously.
The Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit agreed with Mr. Douglas that this project is long overdue. Mr. Skerrit believes this will certainly remove the distractions from the town to allow students and young people to come to the park and make better use of the facility.
Today we handed over a check of $179,000 for that purpose. Now that is money we could have used to assist with housing. That's money we could have used for another road in the town which requires to be done. So it's important for us to recognize that if tremendous economic challenges confronting the world, we have to be grateful for what is happening, because there are many parts of this Caribbean and in the world where governments are having great difficulty in meeting their salary commitments to the public officers, far more to be able to do any capital project that will benefit the wider countrymen and countrywomen. The money is coming from the Dominica National Petroleum Company Limited, and that company is a wholly owned company of the state.
He says when the government put in investments such as these, we all have to take care of it. The Prime Minister, along with other ministers, have been traveling island-wide from 7 a.m. $6,000 was donated towards the renovation of Woodford Hills playing field, and they hope to visit Petite Savanne, La Plaine, and Grand Fort playing fields.
And one of you is monarch and monarch. The person whose name we do not call is the monarch. And is it the hunter? Or is it Daddy Chess? Is it Daddy Chess? The judges have decided that the second place winner is Hunter. Daddy Chess is the king of monarchs at the Stadium Calypso tent. Daddy Chess.
And in more news, Calypsonian Chester Daddy Chess Letar emerged winner of the 2013 Monarch of Monarchs competition at the Stardom tent on Wednesday, January 23rd. He emerged victorious after defeating top Calypsonians such as Caressa, Hunter, Observer, and Scrunter. Each previously has been Dominica's Calypso King, which qualified them for the show. Daddy Chess, who sang Forward We Go, put on a very entertaining and high-energy performance which the crowd fully enjoyed. He showed a loyal side as he wore a Dominican flag in the form of a cape. Its bright colors complemented his all-white outfit.
Forward we go, 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 forward there we go. Let me go, to the back, to the back, to the back, to the back. Forward we go, 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 forward there we go. To the front, to the front, to the front, to the front. Forward we go, 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 forward there we go. Somebody scream!
He is now the Monarch of Monarchs, earning himself a number of special prizes, some of which included $500 and a ticket to Martinique, St. Lucia or Guadeloupe. Hunter, who performed Carrie Bacchanal, also kept the crowd off their feet with a high-energy performance. For his song, as he dressed in an outfit resembling a Kalinago warrior with a body paint and a straw skirt.
I'm not telling ready. Look at me, but sexy. The music does show all of everything. Money that's a evil in a free. Telling me what I in history. When it's come to back. And if it's you something, you actually something. Ooh, yeah, 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 ooh, yeah, 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 ooh. Papa, boy, yeah, ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Right easy, the fuck, come and do it right easy. Work out my day, oh, come and grab the beat. Come and grab the beat, get the honey, come and grab the beat, get them. Work out my day, oh, come and grab the beat, get them. Everybody, put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air. Woo! Stand on your feet. Somebody jump up, jump up, jump up, jump up. Hey!
The much talented Caressa came on stage dressed like a dog for his performance of Bomb Threat, which also was a crowd pleaser. The patrons followed his every command and followed behind him when he entered the crowd in an effort to create what resembled a dog sled. Scrunter took a religious approach in an attempt to win the competition with his song entitled Catholic. The slow pace of the song allowed the patrons to cool long after they were fully engaged in dancing to upbeat songs by Daddy Chess and Caressa among other performances.
Suffer good times and bad times, Dominica. You'll be always on my mind, sing on. Can hear you, Dominica.
Observer sang his song entitled Spirit of the Carnival. There was also the first ever Stardom Comedy Monarch show, which featured Unwanted, Sour Sour, Big Chef, DBS, and Energizer, which Big Chef won. He won himself $200 and tickets to any of the destinations. The Carnival Queen pageant contestants and the Dominica State College Jamboree contestants also made an appearance at the show. And in court today, one man has pled guilty while 2 others pled not guilty in the stolen contaminated codfish issue, which Hilarion Coffey and Steve Pound were sentenced to 6 months in prison. Naim Chenard of Stock Farm and Cecil Benjamin of Penville pled not guilty to removal of solid waste from the Funko Lake landfill, while 53-year-old Joseph Paul of Mao pled guilty. The men appeared at the Roseau Magistrates Court on Thursday, January 24, 2013. Both Mr. Chenard and Mr. Benjamin, who are on $5,000 bail, will return to court on March 8, 2013, when the trial is expected to begin. Part of the bail conditions, Mr. Chenard, is to report to the Roseau Police Station on Mondays between 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., while Mr. Benjamin is to report to the Vekas Police Station on Mondays between 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Mr. Paul did not waste the court's time, as when the charge was read out, he immediately responded, "Yes, I take the codfish." However, things took an unfortunate turn for the worse for the defendant, who suffers from epilepsy, as he collapsed in court and had to be removed from court when he was given medical attention. When he regained consciousness, during the facts of the case, it was reported that Mr. Paul, after seeing a truck dispose of codfish in a cell for biomedical waste, he took a box and took 2 slabs from it, and the other guys took their share. What surprised the court was when Mr. Paul stated that, and I quote, "All the big boys, including the managers, just take things from the landfill and go home with it," end quote. The arresting officer told the court that the defendant was arrested while he was in the process of cooking a pot of the contaminated codfish. In mitigation, Mr. Paul's attorney Darius Jones pleaded for a non-custodial sentence for his client, who he was an employee at the landfill but was fired as he was at the center of the codfish scandal. Mr. Jones added his client has a medical condition and did not waste the court's time, as he immediately pled guilty as a first-time offender. Before sentencing, Magistrate Candia Correct, judge, told Mr. Paul that he had placed himself and his family at great risk by what he did. However, since he has a serious medical condition and the codfish he took was for personal use and not sold, a custodial sentence would not be imposed on him. She advised him to think of his actions, as he has disgraced himself. He was fined $3,000 to be paid on or before March 31, 2013, or will be sentenced to prison for 3 months. Since the security breach at the landfill on Monday, January 14th, which resulted in the sale of contaminated codfish, the management of the landfill has since tightened up its security. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.